There we go.
We're
We're
good.
live.
All right. A little bit of a learning curve for us.
Yeah.
We had just
don't-
our guy that normally is here.
The man in the chair,
I know, son of a bitch, is out there enjoying a vacation.
Indy 500.
I know. I'm jealous.
Did you watch it at all?
I did.
There's a lot of accidents.
I know. I didn't even see Billy. How lame is that? How
He told us
lame
where he
is
was.
that? Oh.
Nowhere.
So, that guy aside.
Nowhere.
Ooh. Yep, we're live.
We
You finished Expedition 33.
Yes.
How do you feel?
I really enjoyed it. I think it is definitely Game of the Year contender. After beating it now. Combat, really good. Story, really good. I have issues with the ending, but I just mean that it's good, not that I think it was written bad. I just have issues on, in my opinion, it's one of those endings, and as a fellow story mode game enjoyer, I think you can attest. You know those games
like
where
a
it's
meme.
like
That was story.
You're
mode
given-
enjoyer.
two choices, but you feel like there should be a third choice that just like isn't, and it's because I don't know, because the characters didn't talk, or it's just it didn't make sense why this third choice didn't exist.
Like
Because
they set it up to where it should be there, and
it feels like it should. Because I mean, I don't want to spoil anything. I do think you should play it. Especially, do you like turn-based games?
I do.
Yeah.
Generally.
I don't want to spoil anything at all, but they set up this concept of these. It's a super complex game, but they set up this concept that you're pretty much from Act 1, and then the final choice isn't about that at all, and it kind of just gets ignored. And the two choices you have are around something completely different, and it's like has to do with grief, and it's an amazing story. But I wish there had been at least more justification on why this one thing just gets kind of left behind to talk
Okay.
about these two endings. But really enjoyed it, and it has a ton of content, man. So Act 1.
How many hours do you think you have in it?
Oh, I wish I could look. It's on Xbox. I don't. I'd have to say
More than 5.
yes, definitely more than 5. Like 60,
60. Okay. Is
maybe more.
that for like how completionist did you get?
I'm like probably 85% right now,
Okay.
if not higher. So Act 1, your average. Act 2 is definitely longest out of the 3. Act 3 though, 27 hours, 25, 30 hours.
If you're completionist, it could be 55 to 70.
Yeah. Act 3 though really is one that opens up because there's like this overworld, and you have this dude that like he's like your vehicle, and you get the ability to fly, so he can take you wherever you want. And but they have all this stuff that's just out there. And one ding I'll give it, if any, because it's a great game, I'll continue to glaze it. It doesn't tell you what you should and shouldn't do. Like as far as difficulty, you just have to go fuck around and find out if
Okay.
you're going to be able to fight this boss, which I get some people might like, but what I wish they would have had, relating it back to Persona, which it's similar enough that I think they're good comparisons. Persona, you have like this, you have this button when you're around enemies. You tap it, and it does like this pulse, and the enemies are blue if they're way below your level, yellow if they're around your level, and red if they're like
Above it.
above it. That would have been amazing, because
Yeah.
there's enemies that are just like walking around that are giant, and you don't know when you're going to be able to fight them. You just have to eventually get to the point where like, okay, I guess now I'm good. And then you go try it and you're like, okay, yeah, I am. And
I feel like in some games though too, that's just like those are just like guidelines.
yeah,
Like for example, in Witcher, if they're supposed to be like way beyond your level, they have like a skull above them
Uh-huh.
or something like that. I forget if it's like a skull or a monster or whatever, but I always found I could still pretty much manage even those ones. Like it wasn't like it was just impossible.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it was
so, I
still
don't know.
manageable.
Maybe would have liked something.
I would have
like
liked
that.
some just because of how Act 3 works. It kind of just throws you out there, and like you can go right to the end of the game. Like there's one more mission before you beat it when Act 3 starts, and it tells you like the characters are like we should go there, but then you're like I don't know about that, and there's nothing telling you you can go other places or anything. So from what I've heard, a lot of people do recommend going straight to the end boss if you want a challenge. I'm somebody who enjoys being overleveled. Like if I
Yeah.
can get that point, I want to do that, and then I can just fuck up the final
course.
boss. So that's what I did. The um the side content though, so hard compared to the main content,
Really?
especially at the end. So as we were talking about, I looked up how to beat Simon, Expedition 33. Simon is the he's like probably the Melania of
Of that
Expedition 33. He's fucking tough, and it kind of I teeter on. I saw a lot of discourse online about him because people think that he's too hard, and the only way I would even think about beating him is how I did, where you take this one character and you make her like a one-hit kill build,
Yeah.
and then you just nuke him. And that's what I did, and it was tough because one of the abilities you have to have is called roulette, and that has a 50% chance to either half your damage or 200% your damage. And so I needed to get three 200% in order to beat this guy. So
Yeah.
that like each time was a dice roll, and it took a long time. But I'm fine with me being half to cheese him. But I do see the point of like people are like it's not fair that that's the only way to beat him. You should be able
Right.
to fight him fairly, and it's like yeah. But
So
I
if we were to, if we were to just give this like your Dylan review,
yes
let's just break it down here.
okay
Let's start with graphics.
graphics
out of 10.
I would personally say graphics is different than art style, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Graphics, I'd say an 8.
An 8. Okay.
Mhm.
So we got
There's
8.
this weird, like, hazy look to it, which I think it might be part of the art style. I didn't necessarily like that. I do like the art style. Really enjoyed it. It's supposed to be like this very painterly, like oil paint world, and it
Okay.
looks really cool. But there's this like weird like haziness that I didn't like.
Okay. So 8 on that. Would that knock the graphics or would that knock the art direction?
That knocked the graphics
Okay.
because the art direction
So art
there's-
direction then.
art direction probably 9. It's a very acquired taste.
Okay.
I do think so. It's like it's kind of like JRPGs, like some of them you look at and you're like, what the heck? This is very French, like very
Right.
French, and you need to understand that it's very artsy. It's not grounded in reality at all.
Right. So value / replayability. Actually, let's do 2 separate categories. So value first.
Value, like my bang for my buck,
Yeah.
money wise. Well, I got it for free through Game Pass,
So
so 10.
10,
Yeah.
depending on the platform.
Replayability huge.
Okay.
Because there's New Game Plus and the end game content I was telling you about, the tough bosses and stuff, give you items and stuff that you can use. And so I would say it's probably a 9 replayability wise, just
For to
because
meet replayability and value here to meet somewhere in the middle. We're talking 9.5 then.
yeah, 9.5
Okay.
because it would be fun. I'm definitely thinking about it.
All right. Next up, story.
Story.
I will save that for last. Next up, gameplay.
Gameplay 9. It's the closest thing I think you can find to a a From Software turn-based combat system. The enemies have full-on fake outs, Kyle, like Elden Ring, where they'll and it's like, am I playing Elden Ring?
It's like time button clicks.
Yeah, you have a parry button, and so built into this game is parry and dodge. And when the enemy is attacking you, you want to parry or dodge. Parrying is precise timing, dodge is less. But if you parry each move, you counterattack and you do a huge amount of damage. And so it's essential to the game is to learn how to parry. So I'd say 9.
All right, and then last but not least, the story.
Story. It was a 10
Until that ending.
and even then I'd say 9.5.
Even with that?
Even with the ending. The story, it's a really touching story, really well made. I think as far as JRPGs go, it's one of my favorite story-wise in that it felt like, I feel the problem a lot of JRPGs run into is they kind of, I don't know, their stories don't ever seem to have like a cohesive, they kind of get
figure out how to land their plane.
Yeah, and they get really weird.
Yeah.
This one did get weird, but I felt like it all made sense as far as until that very
Got
end.
a little French.
Yeah, it was a little French, a little depressing. So I'd say 9.5.
9.5.
Soundtrack though. Soundtrack is a 10.
We gotta add that category too. So soundtrack is a 10.
Yeah.
All right.
They killed it. They have a ton of recurring themes, and they add to them each time, which I think that's one of the coolest things in video games or movies in general is when you have a theme. It's very simple. Over time, you add more to it, and then by the end, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, like you hear the full song. So they have a bunch of that, and there's like, if you look up the album on Spotify, it's 3 discs
Jeez.
worth of songs.
That's a lot of songs.
I know.
I don't know how much you can fit on a disc.
There's like jazz somewhere in there. You just go in to fight these little wooden statue guys, and they got this like funky jazz like song, and you're like, what the? Okay. The rest is like this really piano like violin-ish stuff, and then
Makes me think of there's this episode of South Park where like I forget who it was. It was like one of the kids, like Stan or something, but they like started like a metal band, and then this like big record label guy was like trying to get them to sign with him. And they're like full on just like death metal screaming, like, typical metal. And then the suit, like the exec comes in and he's like like snapping his fingers to it.
Yeah.
And that's what it makes me think of for some reason. Like you're fighting like these epic, bosses, and they're just like listening to jazz.
Especially so the jazz song I'm talking about, there's this one boss, her name's Golgra. She's one of the tougher bosses. Golgra.
Like Goldar from Power Rangers?
Yes.
It's the same thing, basically.
So if you ever play the game, Kyle, I'll let you know this ahead of time.
I'm not the kind of guy that'll ever be upset at spoilers, but...
Not really spoiler, this one. So the village where this lady is, it's the village of the Gestrels are their name. And when you first get there, you have to fight in a Coliseum. And if you win all the matches... so each match is 1-on-1, so you have to choose which character you're gonna play as.
Yeah.
And if you choose Mael, who's Shadowheart, if she wins, she gets her best weapon in Act 1.
What?
But if you lose, you have to then beat Golgra, and Golgra is like end of Act 3 type difficulty so you get blocked off from that weapon.
Saves coming?
No, I had to wait and beat Golgra fair and square, and it was like, but by then I had Mael. She's the one you can do the one-hit kill build.
Yeah.
Fuck, you just game's over, and you're like, all right.
Shadowheart. What's her name? Can't remember. She's been in everything lately.
She really popped off on this one.
So we had 6 categories, and this was obviously us just coming up with all these categories on the fly. But in total, you scored it 55 out of 60, which lands it right at about 92%.
That's pretty
So
good.
In other words, if you haven't heard it from anywhere else,
Jennifer,
then you've been under a rock. But it's a good game, and you should go play it.
you definitely should. I would recommend it to anybody. I would say you need to. There's a couple things it falls under. If you like Persona, you're gonna like this. You will. If you're somebody who doesn't like JRPGs, definitely give this one a chance because I mentioned it last pod or one of the last podcasts. My friend Malachi doesn't like them at all. I don't think he's even played one. He likes this one. He loves it. It's to him, it's his game of the year already.
Okay.
And then if you like From Software and maybe you've dabbled a little bit in turn-based, give this a shot because it's like I said, it's probably the closest, at least for now, that we're gonna see of like Souls-like turn-based, especially with how some of the bosses are.
Souls-like. I feel like the term Souls-like is starting to get.
I know I hate saying it because it makes it so basic, but like I said, they have the character, the bosses that hesitate, but then you have Simon. I'll spoil this because he's just like an optional hard ass boss. His first phase, okay? He's got this giant sword, which is already tough enough. He's swinging it at you, and you have to. At this point where he's at too, it reaches the unfair levels of pretty much anything is a one-hit kill. If he hits you, you die. So it's either you dodge everything or you parry everything.
Yeah.
So you can dodge all that. You learn it. He has 3 phases. Second phase, you get him to his sword glows blue, and every time he hits, another sword comes right after. So if you try and dodge it, you'll die because by the time by the time your dodge is over, the other sword hits.
Right.
So you have to parry both. When you get him to half health or a quarter, somewhere around there, he goes in phase 3. Then he has 3 swords. So his first sword and then 1, 2, 1, 2, and it's oh my god, that with the one hit build, I wouldn't have been able to beat it without it. But that is totally something you would see in Elden Ring. Even the sword looks like the I want to show it to you. It looks like the Half Moon Greatsword.
Oh, you mean like the blue one?
Simon Expedition.
I want to get back into it. I really was intrigued on like the prologue, but why did I stop? There was just like, oh yeah, that looks like a character out of Dark Souls.
Yeah, he's straight up. His hair, like the place you're fighting him into. I mean, it's like all these swords. Like that's how you find him.
Yeah, looks like he's using holy magic.
Yeah,
right on the.
But yeah, I'd say get back into it, and like I said, anybody, I'd recommend play it, especially if you have Game Pass. It's free. Check it out.
It's hard to argue that.
And I would say, even though it's a tough ask, if you do check it out, play till at least the end of Act 1. Act 1 is the big hook.
Right.
And I feel like if you get that far, it'll get you.
Now, is there any... So if you don't like turn-based, you've never liked turn-based, does the average player bother with this type of game? Do you think it's worth it
turn-based?
to
We'll see.
explore?
I would say, again, I'd point to Malachi. Malachi doesn't play JRPGs. He doesn't play turn-based.
Okay.
He's a very basic gamer. Like he plays and enjoys Assassin's Creed.
He's a basic lad.
Yeah. And so I'd say give it a try because if he liked it, then I feel like there's some aspect that anybody can get out of it. Sees that base. He's not that niche of a gamer, I guess.
Okay.
Whereas like Billy's very niche,
Yeah.
And
what kind of value?
Yeah, what kind of value does it
adding
bring?
to the...
I think though he would probably enjoy the combat systems.
He likes anything that's remotely complex.
Yeah, he's like, ooh, I can study this.
You can min-max anything. Then
Min-max?
Start. Okay, so Expedition 33. It's would you label as a must buy or? Is
Yeah.
that fair to say?
Yeah, I 100% think it's going to be a Game of the Year contender. It has a good shot at winning.
I think it might. I mean, what is it competing with right now? There's a lot to be fair, but
right now there's that Blue Door one we looked up.
Blue Door. I don't know what you're
It was
talking
we saw it on when we looked it up last time. We're like, what the hell's
about.
that game?
So there's Kingdom Come. Then there's this game. Potentially Oblivion remastered.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. Was that this year? Or was that last year? I thought that was like a holiday for some reason.
Split Fiction.
Split Fiction.
Blueprints, not Blue Door. Blueprints. Monster Hunter. I feel like. See, and I want to see, for me, one game I'm really looking forward to is Ghost of Yotei. So I want to see how that one does.
Might be too early to call it at this point.
But I definitely think it's a contender.
The other thing you've been playing pretty heavily, we talked about it a little bit last time, Doom. The Dark Ages. Now how far do you think you're in it right now?
I am almost done. I'm at chapter 20 out of 22.
Okay.
So I'm getting close to the end.
You can give a pretty fair assessment by this point on most things.
I'm enjoying it.
How do you feel?
Really liking it. It, to me, I've seen a lot of complaints online that it isn't Doom. That, like, I don't know. And it's like it is. It's just a different type of
Not
Doom.
my Doom.
Yeah, not my Doom. So I'm really enjoying the combat. You feel like a tank. You feel, like you just bust through stuff all the time. The shield is such a cool addition that I'm sad that it's probably not going to be in the next game because I just love it.
Yeah,
to be able to
probably
chuck
definitely.
it because it's so cool. It's got a chainsaw on it, Kyle. And you just throw it and it just sits there and stuns them. Combat overall, to me, like I've heard a lot of people say that it feels different. It honestly doesn't. It feels like, yes, it's a different way that you go about fighting, but not that much different. You're still moving. You're still, you have your shotgun. You're hitting people. You're kind of bouncing around the map, just constantly like murdering.
Tell me if this is a fair assessment, because I saw, I think it was on Reddit, where somebody said that it doesn't reward aggressive playstyles as much as Doom Eternal.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But then even then, I'd say it depends on your weapon. And, like, you can build to be in a more aggressive style. It definitely, you need to pay attention to parries, blocking, and, like, movement around, like, what's around you. Because the biggest change I get, or not the biggest, one of the big changes that have bitten me in the ass a lot, the other two Dooms, the fodder, like the little measly demons, they didn't do really jack shit to you. Like, they would hit you and it, like, it was like somebody cough on me. No, this one, they'll fuck you up if you like, if they're behind you and they just start wailing, you're dead. And so it's like, you have to be a lot more aware of
cognizant of what's going on.
But that's the thing too, is it's easy to take them out. One shield throw cuts them in half. And it just keeps going through them too. It just like,
It's just not all gas pedal, no brakes.
Yeah, so you definitely need to be a lot more aware of where the enemies are, who your main focus is. And I'd say the combat, if I had to compare it to like Eternal was fun. It was fast. They're both, I would say honestly, they rate the same.
Okay.
And they're like, but it's like, it's almost, you can't really compare them because they're different. Like, one is a lot more fast paced where you're always switching guns. This gun refills the ammo, this gun, so I need to rotate. This one, I have two guns that I use.
You just take it with you.
And it's just the whole way through. Like, I even switched now to it's only one, my super shotgun, and I just just get up in their face.
Now that you've played it more, do you still feel the absence of Mick Gordon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even worse now.
Oh, that's too bad.
Which is sad for me to say, because
He got kind of screwed over by id.
He did.
Yeah.
And like in this game, I was just thinking about this when I was playing it the other day. I don't think I've hit a moment where a song was like the song empowered me. It was more like, this is pretty cool. And then I couldn't even hear the song.
In Doom, especially in Doom Eternal, you literally get empowered before you even start playing.
Yeah.
Like when the Earth is screaming and he's just on the space station, just like locking and loading.
I know. And then,
And then the shotgun like loading is a part of the song.
and it's like, I don't know if it's just me. I'll have to check my settings. I didn't turn anything down. It feels like they turned the music down.
Like they toned it back.
Yeah. Like it feels like it's on a lower volume level than the rest of the game, because it's hard to hear at times too. It becomes almost background noise that I'm not hearing. I know it's there, but I cannot tell you
Right.
a single piece of it. Like I don't remember a single tone. Versus Doom Eternal and the first Doom, there are songs that I'm like, yeah. So that's the sad part. The story wise, lore's cool.
It's Doom.
It's Doom.
Yeah.
It's just like metal album covers every game.
The embodiment of testosterone.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people complain that there's too much story. I don't think so yet, at least. I think because they've still maintained that Doom Guy is just kind of like, he's just there, and he just like is there to kill, and like so he's only said one word, and it was in a badass scene, and that's fine. He said run, and but other than that, he's been silent the whole time, and he just kind of looks at everybody, and he's like pissed off, and it's like, all right, but I don't mind the story.
That's like not that you could even compare the protagonists, because Doom Guy is on a whole nother level, but like in Destiny, every time your character talks, it's like specifically to have like just a one word like badass thing to say. like he doesn't have any real dialogue.
Can you remember one of them? I'm trying to think.
The one I always think of is like, we won't stop until we find Uldren Sov. And then the one guy was like, no, we won't. We can't waste resources on this. And he's like, you won't have to. Uldren Sov is mine. And then it like plays the yeah, walks
and you hit the Doom soundtrack.
Yeah, or I forget which DLC it was, expansion. I think something. It was like the light one. But he's like, the only one breaking today is you. Like it's so cheesy, but like that voice actor, especially, I don't know if they still use 3 different voice actors, but the EXO voice actor is still really good. Just with the few things he says.
Doesn't he have a really deep voice too?
Yeah, it's like almost Master Chief sounding.
Yeah.
A little bit more Renegade Master Chief, if that makes sense, versus Paragon Master Chief.
More of his grovelly,
more of his groveliness. The EXO specifically. How important do you think soundtrack and music is, like, to gaming? Like, does it depend on the game, or do you think that's a minor thing, or how integral is it to your experience?
So I feel like it's like a two-parter. It does depend on the game, but then it also, to me, I don't think it's essential as much as it elevates the experience. Because, like Doom, right? I am going through this game. I'm having fun. This soundtrack sucks. Maybe not sucks, but it's garbage. I don't hear it at all. Like, it's all the killing and murdering is too much, and there's no like sick riffs that I'm like, oh yeah. So I'm still enjoying the game, but I feel like I haven't had any of those moments like Doom Eternal or Doom where Rip and Tear comes on and you're like, okay.
You can feel it in your bones.
Yeah. I haven't had anything like that. I'm still enjoying it, but the music elevated that moment that much higher for me.
Yeah.
So I feel like music is very
I think music is without a doubt definitely in the top 3 most important things for me.
Yeah.
When it comes to a good game. number one for me personally is always going to be story. Number two would probably be music, and then I'll probably put gameplay at 3.
What's
Maybe even lower if I'm being honest with you.
What's the soundtrack like in KOTOR?
It's good. It's Jeremy Soule, and if you know anything about Jeremy Soule pre-controversy, like 5 years ago, he's developed some of the most iconic soundtracks in gaming. Specifically, his work with Bethesda, like Elder Scrolls, like Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. All those soundtracks are him. He did all those. He also did Guild Wars, I believe. And he's worked on... He does a lot of high fantasy, but he did do this Star Wars, Knights of the Republic. I will say, as far as Star Wars go, one of the main things that people talk about is that the soundtrack itself doesn't really feel like Star Wars. It feels more like kind of stereotypical sci-fi.
Okay.
So if I'm comparing it to Star Wars... I don't think it stands up to some of the amazing things we've gotten with Star Wars, but that's only because John Williams, Williams did the rest of Star Wars. So like, it's really hard to emulate that in any kind of way.
Yeah. And like, I mean, you talk about like, he did Skyrim.
He did Skyrim.
You talk about Skyrim has one of the best that I can think of ambient soundtracks.
Yeah.
Of like
absolutely
moment to moment gameplay of like you have that relaxing like music when you're just like walking, between places. Then you have the dungeon music, and then you have the da 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 da.
Like the in music whenever you're at like
and it's like each one is really, it helps immerse you in the game. So
I think music music is definitely like the second most important thing for me when it comes to a good game. Some of my favorite games, I think, were elevated because of the soundtrack. I know Cyberpunk is definitely up there. Cyberpunk has a really good soundtrack.
And is it Andrei Sapkowski?
No, he's the writer of Witcher. P.T. Adamczyk.
There you go. Yeah,
he did a lot of it. But also Cyberpunk had a mix of them. So they had...
You have the real life songs?
Yeah, they have the real life songs. But then there's like 3 main composers of Cyberpunk. The first one, I think his name is Marcin Privoslavitz. I'm terrible at Polish names.
They're hard.
But that's the same guy that did like all the Witcher, like Witcher 3.
Okay.
Did all that, and then he transitioned hard and created a pretty good soundtrack for Cyberpunk. And then the other guy, what is his name? I know he. God, it's gonna kill me if I don't know who did this. Let's see. Paul Leonard Morgan. Paul Leonard Morgan also did a lot of the music for Cyberpunk. He specializes in like that gritty sci-fi type of sound.
Okay.
He also did oh God, I'm blanking hard tonight. Judge Dredd. Not the 95, the Carl Urban.
The newer one?
Yeah, he did Dredd. He did that soundtrack, and he also did like Battlefield Hardline randomly, like the only Battlefield that didn't use like the main theme he composed.
He did.
But if you listen to it, you're like, oh, okay, this sounds just like. So he did good, and then also P.T. Adamczyk did a lot of it, and he kind of took over as CD Projekt Red's like main guy now. I think he's doing Witcher, like all of Witcher 4.
You got me with Cyberpunk soundtrack. I have a couple songs on my Spotify. That's the tell for me, if I like it.
If
obviously.
you've actually listened to it outside the game.
Never Fade Away.
Yeah.
The end credits version.
Yeah.
Is it Grimes singing in that one? Or
maybe.
It's somebody. But anyways, I love that one because it incorporates like the regular game soundtrack. And then the music, I never looked up Phantom Liberty. But the music at the end of Cyberpunk.
I really like that song Hardest to Be from Phantom Liberty. It's the one that plays in the jukebox.
Oh.
When she's like dancing, the awkward dance scene. the weird first person.
Yeah.
But like clunkiness aside, I really like that scene.
It's a
it's just
a nice scene.
those are the types of things I live for in gaming. I love
Yeah.
those like human moments.
But the song at the end with when you're in Soul Killer and you're talking to Alt and Johnny, that song that I have on there. I forget the name of that one, but that one's another great soundtrack
with like the screechy strings and stuff. And that Cyberpunk is a really good soundtrack.
Witcher's good.
Mass Effect,
Jack Wall,
Mass Effect 2 especially.
Suicide Mission
has a really good soundtrack. And there's a lot of good iconic songs from Mass Effect 3, but I think Mass Effect 2 edges it out.
I don't have any.
Mission is really good. All the characters have their themes too. They have like Jack's theme, Miranda's theme, all that. That one's good. Mass Effect 1 was a bit more experimental.
Well, and theirs was very ambient, like.
Yeah, it was like they were inspired by like Blade Runner a little bit, which was kind of. But Mass Effect 2 is when they really like found their footing, I think, music wise. That was Jack Wall that mostly did that. He also did the iconic like Uncharted Worlds or New Worlds theme, the map music.
Oh yeah,
that plays. That's Jack Wall. Huh. Did that. Yeah.
What other games?
As far as like good soundtracks go,
Witcher
3 has a killer soundtrack.
That little whatever one.
the like Slavic folk music.
Yeah, that one gets me going.
That one like Silver for Monsters.
Yeah,
Steel for Humans.
I'm like,
bum. Yeah. And even the main theme, I still to this day that Killing Monsters trailer. It's like, what are you doing? Killing monsters, and then it plays that like epic Geralt theme.
See now, what if you put in on? It might honestly still work if you did the Battlefield song. Dun 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 with Witcher. Oh shoot, I had one. Come back to me. Oh, Final Fantasy 16. Their soundtrack. It did the thing that I really enjoyed about Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. It had one song, and throughout the game it evolves it until you get to the final bit, and then it's like, oh boy, and like I love it because that one specifically, I didn't play Final Fantasy growing up, like I tried it here and there, but I didn't really play it. But like I can't think of it now, but if you heard the theme, you'd probably know it. Like it's an iconic battle theme. Well, they bring that back, but it's like this orchestral version. And you're like, oh damn,
it's incredible.
Yeah. So that one was really good for me.
Yeah.
Uncharted has good ones.
It has a good main theme for sure.
Yeah.
That's the only one that sticks out to me. I don't really know.
The rest is kind of like Indiana Jones,
standard, like Indiana Jones type music. But that main theme is pretty iconic for Uncharted. You know what game had a really good soundtrack? And it had 3 different composers because each character had a different composer dedicated specifically to them. Detroit Become Human.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was composed by 3 different people. I forget all their names, but I know John Paisano. He is the guy that composed what's the Marcus, the rebellion leader guy.
I think it's
Marcus. So he composed that guy's storyline, and John Paisano, if I'm pronouncing his name right, is the guy that also did he did Mass Effect Andromeda. He did Spider-Man, the 2018
the current Spider-Man.
Yeah, he did Daredevil. Specifically the Netflix version. He did that. And so when you hear his music, once you start to get a feel for how he composes, like it's very like, oh, that's definitely him.
I have to go back through Detroit Become Human.
Yeah, that has a lot of good music, but it also has good music on the slow parts too. One of the ones that stand out to me is there's this mission where you're playing as the girl robot. I'm forgetting her name. Oh, God, what is it? It's like Alice or something? No.
Kate?
No. Kara. Where they're at like a carousel, like an abandoned like theme park. and they get it going, and it plays it's all lit up, and the little girl's like enjoying it, and her and that dude, depending on how you play, are just watching her. The music that plays during that part is really good too. Like, and that's like a slow moment.
I'll have to go back through it.
Yeah. That game, people like kind of meme on it a little bit because it definitely thinks a lot of itself, you know? But like, I've really enjoyed that game.
I'm with you. I've never understood. It's going to turn into a further rant, but first I'll stick to. I've never understood like the discourse around Quantic Dream games. Like I feel like a lot of people kind of hate on it. But that goes further for me. I feel like a lot of people hate on QuickTime events when I think I'm totally fine with QuickTime events.
I too, if it's not used cheaply.
Yeah. Like, if you want to show me, like, that was one of my favorite things at God of War. If you want to show me Kratos doing something badass that I can't physically make him do, do it. Yeah. Because then I get to see him do this, I get to see him rip open some dude's mouth or something. Right. And it's like, sick. Yeah. Versus, and then people are like, but I want to play more. And it's like, what do you...
Yeah, I don't know. You have to be careful on how you do it. But, like, I think the main consensus for Quantic Dream is they say David Cage
is weird, right? There's something
off about him, I guess, according to like people who have worked with him, and he has like certain like, I don't know, for lack of a better word, like he has certain fetishes for things that like.
Isn't it like every game there's a girl taking a shower that you control?
Or like there's in every game there's like you can like go to the bathroom like as like one of the girls or something, like just things like that. Like ultimately I don't think it's anywhere on the level of like some of the weird shit that like Quentin Tarantino does. Yeah. And it's like his movies are still iconic and still good. Like sometimes I feel like depending on the severity of what you're doing, you just got to kind of like push past those types of things. And they also say that his writing is like self-indulgent, and he kind of thinks a lot of himself when he's, like when David Guetta ended racism, like with his speech. Yeah. Like that's how people kind of equate him. They're like, he thinks that like
because he released this game.
Yeah, like it's gonna
world peace.
I get that, but like if you take it for what it is, like it's really like it's just
a good story.
It's a good story, and it does ask a lot of questions.
You excited for Eclipse? That's them, right?
It is them. I love Star Wars. I'll be interested to see how that type of game translates into the Star Wars universe. But I'd be all for an interactive story with Star Wars if it's good.
I wish we got more interactive stories, because not Quantic Dream, but Telltale. Yeah. Wolf Among Us. That's one of my like favorite interactive stories out there.
Yeah, Wolf Among Us is really good.
And I mean, I know certain people I don't get it, don't like the Batman one. The Batman one's fun. I think it's a Batman interactive fiction. I've never played Borderlands or Minecraft. Those ones.
I never played Minecraft or Borderlands. Actually, I didn't play Batman either, but I did watch a full playthrough of it. So basically,
did you play Walking Dead?
I played all the Walking Dead.
That one was so good.
Yeah, the first one. That was the first time I ever played in a game like that, because I played that before I played like Heavy Rain and those types of games. I played that first. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like the way that they approach gaming. And then, in subsequent playthroughs, I kind of realized how your stories didn't actually evolve it as much as you think they did. But like still, it was a good story.
When you play through it, it makes it feel like it.
Yeah.
But I can see that.
Ultimately, they all do kind of end
similar.
Did Detroit Become Human? Honestly,
there's massive changes.
That is the game that I think you can actually affect the most on the outcome is on that game.
Have you seen it was announced, I think it was this Game Awards. Do you remember that the superhero management game with Aaron Paul?
Superhero management?
Yeah.
I probably blocked it out of my...
So after we're done, I want you to look it up. It looks good. So it's going to be an interactive fiction, and part of it looks like it's complex, but part of it is like so you're going to choose, there's going to be like a crisis in the city, And this is only part of the game. This isn't the whole game, but there's going to be like a monster attack in the city, and you have to choose what heroes to send fight that.
Huh.
Like to send to this crime.
I'll have to watch this.
Yeah. And but then also on top of that, so that's like I said, that's only one part of the story. The other part of the story is like the main character Jesse, Aaron Paul, used to be a hero, and like this is his chance to become a hero again. So like he's working towards that, and so it's like it looks good.
I have no recollection of this. I must have missed this somehow.
Yeah. It looks really good. I'm excited for that one. If I remember correctly, the trailer says it's some of the team, like the old Telltale Wolf Among Us team.
One of the things
But it's a new studio.
that I've seen a lot of discourse online is, do you consider interactive dramas like gaming?
Yeah. Because, so it's still, to me,
Like, where do we draw the line?
where do we draw the line?
Like, is In Space with Markiplier gaming?
Because does the interactive part make it a game? Or is it a certain requirement of like stats or like something like that?
Like, there's no leveling.
There's no leveling, there's no stats.
There's no...
So like I'll give you an example because we've never really talked about it. I read these interactive fiction books, and they're called Choice of Games, Hosted Games. Those are two apps. Those ones I think are called games because they're stats, and throughout your reading, you're building those stats by making certain choices, and like you're building a relationship meter. But then you're also like, is your character good at combat? So if you make more of these choices, your combat increases, right?
So for me, what I've kind of, because I've seen this argument on both sides of where it's not gaming, it's an interactive drama. I think where the line gets drawn is, does it have any failable moments? Like, can you game over? If you can game over in any way whatsoever, I think it's a game.
So
no matter what you do, it pushes on no matter what. I think it loses its game aspect.
So what about like continuing on that In Space with Markiplier? You know how some choices kill you? Would that count as a game over?
It just ends. That doesn't mean that you game overed. That's just where the movie ends. Whereas there are some, like in Detroit Become Human or Telltale, like Walking Dead, there are moments you can't game over, and it makes you redo the scene. And I think that's where the line is for me. That's why I consider it a game or not.
I would say where I would consider a game is if dang, that's really tough because I was going to say if you interact with it, but you're like if you
interact with In Space with Markiplier.
I know. Because I'm trying to differentiate. What's the difference between my books and In Space with Markiplier? I think it's...
You're developing a character?
I think it's what you would say. If you have failable requirements. So like the whole thing I was saying where I build up the combat stat, right? The reason I'm doing that is near the end of the book, there's usually some like choice, and you want to choose whatever stat you're in, because if you choose it and you're not good in that stat, your character's going to die, something bad's going to happen, but the story continues, but you failed that stat check. Mm-hmm. So I would almost agree of if you're able to get a game over and have to redo, but even that's not a game over, that just continues the story. That's a tough one.
I don't know, because it doesn't take a skilled gamer to beat a game like Detroit Become Human or The Quarry or Until Dawn. Anybody could pick it up. So at what point is it like a game versus interactive drama? And at what point are they the same thing? I think I feel pretty comfortable with does it have a failable moment? Can you get a game over screen? If you can, it's a game.
That's the closest I can get as well. That's a good point, but even then, I feel like you could make an argument for like Markiplier to be a game.
Yeah,
like that there's some type of argument of like, well, yeah, but if you make this choice, it's game over. and you have to
I
start
don't think
over.
it's game over. It's just the movie ends.
The movie ends.
The movie ends more abruptly because it doesn't. You don't get that screen and then get the game over, reload, last save. It just says like the end, ending 1 of 10 or whatever.
But so here's the thing with my books.
Yeah.
Some of them do have a checkpoint system. Some don't, which is a whole nother rant. But if you make a choice and it's, like the stats weren't good enough and your character dies, the book will just end. Sometimes it'll continue and like carry on to like finish the book, but certain choices are just a flat end.
Right.
And so would that make those ones interactive drama?
I don't know.
Right?
Something to think about. I've seen arguments posed on both sides. I don't think, like, if we're talking to Billy about this, I don't think he would consider any interactive drama a game because there's nothing you could do to, like, you can't build a character. There's no, like, there's no min-maxing. There's no, like, it's a story. And there's nothing wrong with the interactive drama just being an interactive drama, not a game. But there's a lot of people that go back and forth on that.
So I want to ask Chat GPT, see what it comes up
See
with.
what it says.
So I said, what makes interactive drama versus a video game? We'll see if it understands what I mean.
It's just error. Can't compute.
Blows up.
Creates an interactive drama for you.
It could. I bet it could. So it says the difference between interactive drama and video game comes down to intent, structure, and player agency. Player choices during crossover.
Long, drawn out answer.
Of course, yeah.
Is it a long, drawn out non-answer, or is it
I'll
like
say
an actual
give-
answer?
At what point does
An interactive drama turn into a game?
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what it says. I've never plugged this into AI, so.
Okay. Player agency shifts from influencing narrative to mastering systems. That is when gameplay elements like skill, strategy, or mechanics become necessary to progress or win.
Still kind of a non-answer.
Well, I feel like that's gameplay elements like skill, strategy, or mechanics become necessary to progress or win. I feel like that's a good explanation because that kind of fits yours of it requires some form of learning what the game's system.
Oh, okay. Actually, yeah, I do like that.
Yeah.
Apparently, I have the listening comprehension of an elementary school kid. My reading comprehension's fine.
So, interactive drama becomes a game when failure impacts progression mechanically.
Okay.
Combat, death, puzzle, failure. Skill determines success more than choice.
Okay.
You can lose, in a traditional sense, game over, but not just story consequences. And gameplay loops form the core. Combat, exploration, crafting, etc.
So I think my explanation of that is pretty much that same thing, just more bare bones.
Huh. This one says this is the final summary. They say think of it like this. If you're engaging with a story, you're in a drama. If you're controlling a system, you're in a game.
Okay. So
But then it goes on to say many modern titles straddle both.
I think that there's an argument to be made that all interactive dramas are not games.
Yeah,
There's an argument out there to be made for that.
but to go on the point of what it says around failure impacts progression mechanically, combat, death, puzzle, failure, that's Quantic Dream.
True.
If you fail your little...
Yeah. But that is not In Space with Markiplier.
Yeah, In Space with Markiplier, I don't...
You know what? I mean, maybe at the end of the day, if you're having fun, it's a game.
Exactly. Well, and that's why
All that matters.
I've always thought it was funny to go back to the books that I read. When telling people that I read them, right? And I'm like, "Oh yeah, check out this app. It's called Hosted Games, and they're like, oh, so it's a game. And I'm like, no, it's a book.
Yeah.
But I think they just, for some reason, classify it as a game because there's stats and there's like stuff like that. But I always find it funny that I have to like over-explain of like
people.
No, it is a
can
book.
imagine would
Yeah.
have a really hard time grasping that if that's not something they're used to.
Yeah, I'm like, no, it's a book. Like it's only reading, but it's just it has more game mechanics, I guess, than your traditional front to back.
Right.
So that's I want to ask Billy that when he comes back. I want to. Billy, if you're watching, you could answer us.
He's in a different time zone right now.
I know. I'd want to hear his opinion on it. I think his would be drastically
Different than ours.
Probably more strict too. He'd be like,
Yeah.
if I am watching it,
What kind of value?
yeah, does it bring? Because then like you have games like they mentioned God of War, Last of Us that blend the narrative drama with gameplay.
Right.
And it's like, so is it half a game I'm playing? No, it's the story of the game.
But I will say, all that aside, Quantic Dream generally has pretty good soundtracks.
Yes, we didn't even talk about. We talked about Telltale. We talked about Quantic Dream. We didn't talk about who does Until Dawn.
Supermassive.
Supermassive.
What a name. Supermassive.
Supermassive. They're really good too. Interactive fiction.
Yeah. To be fair, I've only played 2 of their games. I did Until Dawn and The Quarry.
Same. I didn't play Man of Medan.
It didn't look interesting to me.
Well, it was like the dark anthology. It was an anthology series.
Yeah.
Which is a little weird for me for a video game, especially that they were not all out at the same time.
Right.
So it's like I played, because I did play Man of Medan, whatever, and it felt so short that I was like, oh,
I guess we're done.
like okay.
But Until Dawn, I think Until Dawn was the stronger of the 2.
Oh yeah.
But I liked them both for sure. And I think they're the only ones. Well, Telltale for sure, but I don't even know if they're even like a studio anymore. But I think they're the only ones that are kind of like playing in the same ballpark as Quantic Dream.
Quantic Dream, yeah.
I think Quantic Dream still edges them out.
Well, they got Star Wars.
Yeah, well, like just games in general.
Yeah.
I think their games are just still have an edge over those 2 I've played. But as far as like horror goes, like it's fun. It's good. It's campy, but
And what I would say is, I mean, I think the one thing Supermassive has a little bit of an edge over Quantic Dreams is the multiplayer. Like, I feel like Supermassive games are easier to play multiplayer because I think the character sections are shorter.
Oh, okay.
Than like Quantic Dreams.
Oh, for sure.
And there's more characters.
There's so more. Can't speak English.
Yeah.
There's so much more characters in their games. So there's a lot of switching. So if you're playing Roundtable, each person plays a character. That is,
and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because then you have like I played Until Dawn. I've played it with a few people, and that was fun of choosing. Okay, I think is there like 8 people in Until Dawn or like 6? Characters?
Yeah, there's like 3 guys, 3 girls I could think of.
So like we split them evenly, and to just go through and like, oh, here you go, and then just hand it back and forth and see like them fuck up on a choice, and then how it affected me, and I was like, no.
The Quarry I liked a lot because it reminded me a lot of like 1980s like kind of horror film. You know, like how stereotypical can it be? You're like at a camp, you know, summer camp and werewolves.
Yeah.
You know, like it was good old fashioned type of fun like that. But I think that the overall the performances and the narrative, like it was better in Until Dawn. Like I feel like I don't think it was the actor's fault, but I feel like the dialogue was more campy, cheesy, harder to buy into. Until Dawn, I felt like at least when it came to like the main characters, like they had stronger players.
Yeah.
Like they had Rami Malek, who ended up winning an Oscar.
I know, and he's like the main villain.
Yeah, they had him. Hayden Panettiere, I think is her name. And I forget his name, but the guy that plays the main dude
The jock.
Yeah, the jock guy that ends up kind of being like a Ash type.
He becomes
character.
a badass.
Yeah, I like him a lot too.
He's one of my favorites, and he's like the horror movie trope of he gets a wolf as a pet. He gets like he gets put through the ringer. His hand.
You can get his finger chopped off, which I always do, even though I know how to avoid it.
You're like, I feel like I know what that is.
It's important for the story for him to lose his finger.
Then he gets a shotgun, right? Or he gets a gun.
Yeah, he gets like a shotgun.
Nobody else has guns.
They made an Until Dawn movie.
I haven't seen it.
I heard it kind of sucked, and it had nothing to do with the game, which I don't get why they do that.
You'll have to ask. I think Fran saw it.
Really?
And Fran played the game. Because I think I was talking to him about it, and he said it was good for what it was. It wasn't really Until Dawn, though.
Yeah, why even call it Until Dawn?
Yeah.
You're just going to change the whole thing.
And it was like a different story. Like, it's like multiple. It's like a loop. It's one of those movies where it's a loop.
Yeah, you're caught in a horror loop or something. Like, why do they got to do that? Like, just make it about the Wendigos.
Do you care about spoilers with Stitch? I wanted to vent about this.
No.
I haven't watched it.
Did they change that too?
They did. They made, there's Pleakley and Jumba.
Yeah.
They made Jumba's the fat one.
Yeah.
They made him the main villain.
Why?
I don't know.
Just because?
I haven't seen it. Maybe I don't think it's justified because it's like he was like that was his character arc is realizing that he's like a crazy scientist and then he learns how to love.
I don't know. They always got to do something.
Always.
Disney, especially, I don't know what it is. It's like lately they've been like when they're given the choice on a decision, they're like, what will cause the most people to be pissed off? And let's do that. And if you don't like it, it's because you are a backwards way of thinking. Like they don't
what?
Like it has nothing to do with anything else. Like bad writing, no. If you don't like it, it's because you're not progressive.
Well, and the thing,
like, no, that's not why. Like,
my biggest
good.
complaint,
like, I really like Sleeping Beauty. I thought that was really good. I like Cinderella, and I'm in the minority, but I got a pretty good kick out of Mulan as well. Yeah.
I don't know if I can talk to you anymore. They took out Mushu.
Because I didn't look at it like a remake of the cartoon. I looked at it like a realization of the actual story. And then I was able to appreciate it. And that's coming from Mulan is probably my favorite Disney princess.
Wow.
Yeah.
How dare you portray her like that?
Yeah, well. I don't think she cares about your opinion. I'm just kidding.
My biggest complaint with a lot of the live action remakes and stuff is do one for one. Why are you changing
Why do you
things?
have to change the story?
Yeah, it's like
I get changing certain things that just like don't hold up. Like, I mean, some of these stories are 100 years old and definitely dated.
Yeah.
When it comes to, but like, you don't have to be so drastic with the thing. Just make it fit in the modern audience. Yeah. Like, you could do that.
And like I've heard, supposedly it's not out yet, but so I don't know how these people know this, but people are saying that like How to Train Your Dragon is going to be a 1-for-1.
Have you seen the trailers?
I have.
The last trailer came out looked really good.
It looks like a 1-for-1 remake. So, and if it is, props to them because that's what you should do. You shouldn't.
Right.
I liked the story that I watched, and now I want to watch it live action. I want to see the same story.
Just do it twice. It's not a big deal. You'll make a bunch of money.
Gerard Butler's in it again as the dad.
He should be.
He should.
He should be.
Hiccup. I wonder why they didn't get Jay. Well, I guess Jay's a little too old now for Hiccup.
Yeah, that's true. He can't really play a teenager.
He'd be the older,
like a 45-year-old man, just pretending he's a teenager. Yeah, that would Jay Bruchel would not fit. I think anymore.
His voice is like.
I would like a cameo if it'd be cool if he did like a little something. But I get why he wouldn't be there.
Yeah. Do you think Kung Fu Panda has more juice in the tank?
Honestly, I kind of felt done with it after the second one. If I'm being real here.
Second one was good.
Yeah.
The third, is there a fourth? Yes,
The
there
fourth is one that just came out.
That's with Aquafina.
Yeah.
Fourth was okay.
When Aquafina just started appearing in
Everything.
all of a sudden.
I don't know if it's got juice left. I think it does, but it'd have to be like a final like goodbye movie.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like,
did you see? I apologize, I'm getting ADD here, but did you see that they're doing an Elden Ring movie?
live action?
Live action, and because the rights were just bought by A24.
A24.
Yeah, and they're doing it, and there's all these memes where Jack Black is gonna play the Tarnished because he's in every game adaptation. So,
Not A24 though. A24.
A24
They're
has
probably
a pretty
one of
stellar
the,
reputation for what they never really have that huge a budget though, and I feel like it's gonna be hard to make an Elden Ring movie. Like,
what do you make it of? Like, are you gonna do pre-Shattering?
I think it'll be The Shattering.
The Shattering?
Yeah.
That'd be a cool story.
I think that
But
would be what it would be.
To do that, you gotta have some.
You got to have Disney money.
Because
to portray this right.
damn. I mean, although I think they could probably get away with a lot of it being like a courtroom, not courtroom, but like a court drama, you know, like political, medieval political drama, like Game of Thrones. Because that's a lot of what it was, you know.
At
there
least
was
aspect of
fights,
it.
but
if they're going to do The Shattering, they have to show the most epic battle of all time between Radahn and Melania.
yeah, and we got to see the Knight of the Black Knives, which is going to be like
That'll be like the catalyst.
Yeah.
You know.
Now the question is, do they change the art style, or do they try to keep to it?
I think, in fitting with the lore, these runes are what deforms them and makes. I think that they could do it. They could do it well and still keep them looking like just human, but like just obviously with more. They're demigods, so they're more powerful than just humans. But I think you could do that, and it'd still be effective. Because isn't it lore-wise, the Shattering is where they broke the runes, they all grabbed a piece, and that's what deformed them and created them into like the monsters that they are. I think that's at least part of it.
That's part of and it's because of the ring.
Because whenever you look at the art style of like all the paintings of these people, they just look like humans. They don't look like that.
Some of them, at least. I think all of them. The ring was like rejuvenating their bodies consistently,
constantly building,
and then since it broke, they are no longer rejuvenating, but they don't die.
Then it begs the question, like, who they cast.
Like Ronnie, who'd be Ronnie?
That's interesting. That's the first person you go to.
Ana de Armas.
Ana de Armas. Ronnie, I have no idea. Because Ana de Armas actually might not be bad as Ronnie, but I don't know if she portrays power in the way that she should.
Well, and this would be the human version of Ronnie.
This is not
the puppet.
The puppet version. That's true. But this would have to be. See, there's so many characters that it almost seems like it'd be impossible to
see. Now you make
get it right.
You make Jack Black the Ofnir, the all-knowing.
So getting off near, they all know.
And then he asks, "Did you put her in a jar, tarnished?"
Man,
and then like Radahn.
Radahn would have to be like, I could see.
I got one. Alexander Skarsgård.
I was gonna say it would have to be something like that. Alexander Skarsgård would be good.
Big dude, impressive dude.
So just like someone that can convey that type of power. I'm thinking of him in like the Northman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm thinking like that. Melania would have to be like Charlize Theron, or at least someone like that. You know, not necessarily her.
Ana de Armas.
Ana de Armas would not be a good Melania.
She could play all roles. No.
But it's like, how do you get star power to get these types of people we're asking for, like, the money?
And yeah, like, it's hard to cast those people because we don't, honestly, the only person we really know about her personality is Ronnie. And even then, we barely know.
Yeah.
Because like Radahn, we know his story, we know his legend. We don't talk to him.
Like, who'd you cast as America though?
America, we don't talk to her. We know her story.
We know their story.
Radagon, we don't.
But that's
talk
why
to him.
it's actually that's probably why they would do that is because there's so much freedom.
Yeah. So
all they have
easier.
to do is make those events line up with the game, and then it's still canon.
Now, what if they change it?
Yeah, they might have nothing to do with anything.
What if Doom Guy comes in? Huh.
Would they introduce like a random character, or do you think that they would pick one of the demigods and make them the protagonist?
You mean like an fish out of water type character?
Yeah, like some random like
You do
never
Bach.
been mentioned. Bach.
Somehow he was alive.
If there's any character to choose from to be the main character besides Tarnished and not one of the demigods, it would probably be like Vike.
Vike would be cool.
Yeah.
You could also do Blythe.
Blythe as well.
Like security guard. Like he'd be the security guard, so he'd be there.
It'd be hard to have a whole movie with just a wolf
guy.
man, though.
Maybe they made the excuse of, he only turned a wolf after shattering.
I think we talked about this before, but I think that it would be good if it was like a tragedy and Radahn was the main character and it ended up with how it ended.
With him being crazy.
With
I
him.
think you can make a case of multiple main characters.
Yeah.
Like, you could have Radahn. I think Ronnie would be really good as far as...
Ronnie actually might be the most logical choice.
Because you'd have the political intrigue leading up to the Night of Black Knives.
Yeah.
And, like, you'd have... She is the one we know the most about, obviously. But, like, she's the driving force of what happened.
Right.
I mean, we could also do...
it could literally, like, you could follow...
what's his name? Godfroy?
No. Godfroy's dad. What's his... Godric's granddad, I think.
Godwin.
Is it Godwin? Yeah, Godwin
Whatever,
the Golden. Godwin
Golden.
the Golden. It could be him.
It could be him.
And it could end with him dying.
Yeah.
And that's how it ends.
So, I'd be interested in it. Have you heard, is R.R. Martin involved at all?
I don't know. Let me Google this here real quick. Elden Ring movie. Directed by Alex Garland for A24.
What's he done?
Let's see. What's his name? Alex Garland.
Author.
He's an author.
Civil War, Ex Machina, Annihilation,
Annihilation.
28 years later, 28 days. Interesting.
Okay, so he doesn't have a bad repertoire, not by any means.
No.
So he didn't direct these, though. Did he write these? Is he primarily a writer? Scarlet. Novels, film. Okay, so he's done a lot of screenplays.
Wrote a screenplay. Directorial debut with Ex Machina.
Okay, Ex Machina was really good.
So it looks like after that he started directing. Civil War he directed.
All right, let's look at his filmography.
Oh, shoot. He wrote the video game Enslaved Odyssey of the West.
Okay.
I love that game.
Film director. So he directed, so specifically what he directed Civil War.
Warfare.
Men I've never heard of. Annihilation and Ex Machina. Oh, he directed Dread, but he was uncredited? Oh, dude. This guy could do it.
Dang.
This is a good list.
Have you seen Ex Machina?
Yes, I have.
Is it good?
I like it a lot.
I haven't seen that. Have you seen Annihilation?
Not the whole thing. I watched a bunch of clips on YouTube.
I did not like that one.
I did not watch the whole thing, but people tend to. It's generally positive.
Yeah,
The
I hear a lot of people like
but
it.
if it's not your cup of tea, then I get it. Yeah.
I think my main issue was I went in, I heard a lot of people said, "Oh, it's like a rival." It's not.
It's not.
It's not. And so I was expecting that. Interesting. So is he doing the new 28 years, or he's a writer for it?
So he's written all the 28 movies.
Interesting.
28 weeks, 28 days, 28 years. Okay.
Sunshine. That's the one with Chris Evans in the sun.
Sunshine.
Sunshine. Or the sun's about to explode or something, and they have to power it up.
I mean, how far? We're probably years away from
This coming to
this
fruition.
coming out. But A24 is now making Elden Ring and Death Stranding.
Death Stranding.
Dude, this is Elden Ring just going to cost twice. Yeah, this is a good point. This article says, so I guess Elden Ring is just going to cost twice as much as any other film A24 has ever made. That's my only concern is they do not have Disney money.
No.
So, like...
I mean, are we... well, okay, they don't have Disney money, but all their movies have been pretty well received. So I'm sure they got
Yeah, but like
decent
the
money.
set pieces required for... Like, this is like Avengers... This is an Avengers level threat. Like, this is...
Huh.
Officially in the works.
Go to that one, PC Games, and they say cast predictions. Let's see what their cast predictions are.
How do I get this on the screen?
So you'll do second monitor. Do Windows capture, I think. The view, maybe.
All right, now we're just clicking stuff. So
Main scene.
all right, well, Billy's not here. He's the guy that does this kind
Go
of.
to second monitor.
Yeah.
Click there. There.
Ah,
And then now you need to hit transition, and it'll put that there.
perfect.
This is
All
what
right.
we're looking at.
Technical difficulties. Elden Ring movie release date estimate, cast predictions, and story ideas.
Let's see who they predict.
All right, let's see.
That's the cast. 2027. That's pretty
Okay.
fast.
That's only about a year and a half away. Cast not been confirmed. He's worked with a handful of actors, so Oscar Isaac, Sonia Mizuno.
Oh, that's it? That was
Alright.
their predictions?
This is where things get murky. Elden Ring generally forgoes all conventional storytelling practice for more environmental affair. Taking a plot of Elden Ring would be insurmountable feat. Cramming that much lore into a 2-hour affair would be incredibly messy, so we could see Elden Ring movie taking a small slice of that world and immersing us in it. Night of Black Knives, for instance, would make a cinematic viewing experience that Elden Ring veterans and newcomers alike would find enthralling. I think that they have to go with it's got to be something to do with the shattering.
Yeah.
You know, that way it doesn't really interfere with the game lore. It can kind of still be. There's a lot of creative freedom there. But like it's before you can get away with people.
Him just looking human.
Not grafting Godric.
Yeah,
Like,
he's just Godric.
He's just Godric at this point.
Maybe he's a little weird, but
little.
yeah, I could see
Yells
it
a lot.
heavily being like Game of Thrones. Like looks and story, which makes sense, George R. R. Martin.
Is George all right? George R. Martin.
Is he involved? That was
He
3 months ago.
Said there's some talk about a movie. He said that 3 months ago.
Here, what about that rock, paper, shotgun?
It's not clear. According to Rock Paper Shotgun, it's not clear whether developers from software are involved, but Game of Thrones novelist George R. R. Martin, who worked, is contributing as a producer. So okay, so he's a producer. I mean, I think he just has to be tagged in some way because he built all the
Yeah.
lore. So his name will probably still be in there in some capacity, but he's definitely not. I mean, he'll be about as involved as he was in the Game of Thrones TV show. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he ended up not being involved at all towards the end. That's
So,
probably why it failed.
If we have that as that was a previous work of his that was adapted to live action, it went pretty well until the end.
Right.
But it went pretty well. Maybe A24 is thinking the same thing. You know?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I almost would prefer it was like a TV show, but I would be happy with the movie as long as it's done well.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Elden Ring, you could make multiple movies if one does well.
If one does really well,
Like, they could do one that's just about the Night of the Black Knives.
It's true.
Not even the shattering yet, but just that.
There's
I mean,
so much like world to cram into a 2-hour movie.
Now, hear me out. I just had a great idea, Kyle. Okay. Night of the Black Knives. Okay. That's our story. What's another movie with knives in the title?
What? Knives Out?
We bring Daniel Craig on as the detective.
That solves.
And it's him in the Elden Ring world trying to figure out who did the murder. And nobody is leaving in this mansion with demigods and him.
Something tells me
I kind of would like to see that a little bit, just for fuck's sake.
that would not
It would, but it would be funny
go over.
because he'd be like, "Now listen, he's got his whole Southern accent. And he's like, where were you, America?"
I would not see that. I'm gonna be honest with you.
It's called
terrible.
It's called Knives Out, Night of the Black Knives.
Night of the Black Knives. Knives Out. Black Knives and Knives Out conspiracy or whatever they call them now. A Knives Out film.
Yeah, the last one was Glass Onion.
Glass Onion. They're making another one.
They are?
I think so.
I like those. I like those whodunits. Whodunits are always
Yeah.
going to be good, though. I think it's hard to mess one up.
I just watched this Adam Sandler whodunit.
I think I've heard of it.
It was like what was it? It was like I think it's literally called like Murder Mystery.
Yes,
Something
yes,
like
yeah.
that.
With Jennifer Aniston, right?
Yeah. I had fun. It was entertaining. It was,
Adam Sandler movies are fun.
I don't care what it was this.
Yeah, I do think some of them are. They're not going to be the most high quality thing you've ever seen, but a Knives Out mystery.
Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery.
Oh,
I think it's coming out on Netflix.
still Daniel Craig? Yeah, nice.
I believe so.
Look at his. He's
got
got
long
long hair.
He's got
Mr.
long
Daniel
hair.
Craig.
Look at that glorious.
There he is. What do you like, Knives Out or the Agatha Christie?
I did not.
Murder on the
I
Orient
liked
Express.
Murder on the Orient Express. I thought that was good.
What's his name? Charles Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah. But I didn't think that a Death on the Nile was that great.
Did you watch the Murder in Venice or whatever that one's called?
Yeah, the random like horror version.
Yeah.
One. I didn't even watch that. I forgot about that until you just said that just now.
It's not as good.
No.
I definitely think Murder on the Orient Express is the better one. I think I like Knives Out maybe a little bit more than Murder on the Orient Express.
I think that's fair. I only saw Murder in the Orient Express like in the theater.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was one of those ones that I was like, I can't wait to watch this again. You know, like
Yeah. I know the mystery.
I didn't know the mystery.
Me neither.
I know it's like 100-year-old story, but I didn't actually have that spoiled for me.
Aren't like Death on the Nile and the Murder in Venice? Those are also books, right?
Yeah, they're all Agatha Christie books. I will say I did kind of feel like cheated a little bit at the end of Murder on the Orient Express, and I was like, oh, so they were all the.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
That kind of was just like, well, I could have guessed that. Like, I would have preferred it was just like one mastermind.
like
but-
Knives Out.
Yeah, like Knives Out, and I think that, maybe maybe that's why you liked it a little better. It didn't feel as underwhelming.
You have the one who done it, and it's
Chris
actually
Evans goes all crazy.
one who done it. Huh?
They made like a Clue movie from like the 80s.
Have you heard the story of that one with the
Of-
different endings?
Of Clue?
Yeah.
Of
Did
the
you-
movie?
Yeah. Did you know
Yeah.
they shipped out to multiple when it was in theaters? I don't know how they decided. They sent randomly probably versions of the film with different endings.
Like just as a mystery of
And so like the whole
so
point
no
was
one knew who
Well, yeah, the whole point was you'd be talking to your friend. Maybe they saw it at another theater, and then you'd be like, no, it ended this way. And they'd be like, no.
That's crazy marketing.
Right?
I had no knowledge of that.
Yeah. When I read about it, I was like, that's fascinating.
I wonder how expensive that was.
Could you imagine if we went to Avengers Endgame and then Billy went like a day, at another theater?
Wow, it was crazy when Thanos won again.
And we're like,
what do you mean he won again? Hey, he won a second time.
We're like, no, he didn't. We watched it.
What are you talking about?
And then like to him, that is what happened.
Yeah.
So that'd be wild. But yeah, I wish that. I kind of don't, but I kind of do wish they
I
did
do
that
not
more.
need them to do that for a movie like Avengers Endgame with a 10-year build up, and then
All of a sudden you get the worst ending.
Yeah, I'd be actually disappointed if they did that to me. You get the one where like the snap doesn't work. They don't even get the stones. They all die in the process.
It's like, man, that movie was depressing.
Yeah, that did not end how I thought it would.
We're like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
That fight scene was awesome.
Wasn't it crazy when Thanos ended up fighting evil Thanos and it was good Thanos versus evil Thanos? What a wild ride.
Yeah,
That
I
might
don't
be
think
kind
it'd
of
work.
That's what What If is.
Yeah,
I mean, not on that level, but that's what Avengers or Marvel What If is.
what movie? Horror movies. I think that the marketing
That works
tactic
best.
could work on.
Yeah.
Of like, what do you mean that all the characters died? And it's like, no, that there's this dude, like,
I could see it working well if it was done like if there were super minute details.
ooh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like a movie like Inception. Imagine if just not enough to change the story, but just little details were changed throughout.
Well, like
Something like Inception. Like even the top in one release it wobbles, and another one it doesn't wobble at all. Things like that.
what you got me thinking too. An older movie you could have done it with is The Thing, and just have one movie follow Childs,
yeah.
and then one movie follow McCready, and then like near the end part at least, and then that way it's like you'd have the two differing opinions of it's definitely not Childs. It's like, well, I watched McCready the whole time. What do you mean you watched McCready?
You know what that makes me think of in American Psycho? Willem Dafoe's character, like the investigator.
Uh-huh.
He played 3 different versions of his character on every single scene he was in. And the director spliced it together himself, so you never knew what his intentions were. And his only direction was when he had a scene, play it as somebody who knows Patrick Bateman did it. Now play it as someone who suspects that Patrick Bateman did it. And now play it as someone who's completely oblivious that Patrick Bateman did it and thinks he's innocent.
Wow.
And so he did each scene 3 times with that in mind. And then the director
Went in and
spliced it all together so that you're just uneasy every time Willem Dafoe's on screen because you have no idea like
if he knows,
if he knows or not. And the idea is because that movie's supposed to put you in the mind of Patrick Bateman, and the whole thing is he's constantly unsure if he's onto him or not.
he's found out.
Yeah, and if you're guilty of something, you'll even things that don't actually really add up, you create scenarios in your head of like, oh, they know.
Yeah.
And that's what the point is with that.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah. That's what that makes me think of.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe's a stud. I love everything he's in.
Not only is he a stud, he has a stud.
All right, you know what? I think on that we can
We've
end
seen
it.
it. Oh.
This guy. Where can people find us?
They can find us right here on YouTube live every Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesdays are our streaming podcast night. Thursdays are our gaming, live gaming night, where right now we're playing Guild Wars, playing through that. And then we plan to play some other games later. But come join us, give us a like, comment, subscribe.
Ring that bell.
Smash that like button.
What do people? Do they still say ring that bell? Is that
Ding that dong, ring the bell.
Let's not say that. I mean, that's...
Ding the dong?
Yeah, let's just be careful.
I was thinking about Willem
Right.
Dafoe. But yeah, come check us out.
All right, well, with a good KD, you get the dub.
Bye, guys.
See ya.